We're here live for our Once Upon a Time finale party. Stay tuned. Well, this isn't a radio, so you don't have to stay tuned. Subscribe over at oncepodcast.com so you can get the nice sounding audio version of this. And here we go with our live show. In 3, 2, 1. You're listening to Once, episode 300, The Final Battle. Welcome back to another episode of Once, the unofficial podcast for ABC's TV show Once Upon a Time. I'm Daniel J. Lewis.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin.
I'm Erin.
And we've just finished watching the season 6 finale of Once Upon a Time, and we watched it here in the greater Cincinnati area with some great friends. Everybody in the audience, make some noise. We had our own little finale party. We greatly missed you. We wish you could have been here. You too, Erin. We wish you could have come down for it.
Yeah.
But what a great way to end Once Upon a Time, right? With the final battle. Oh, good thing that's an iPhone 7.
Good thing it's a 7. I love it. That's...
Wow. That was an overdramatic mic drop that just almost turned catastrophic.
But and it's almost like a commercial. It's like, I don't even need to
commercial.
worry. That's beautiful.
And that's staying in the podcast.
That's awesome.
We might need a cloth.
I'm super
for
happy,
that.
though.
Could someone get a napkin? This is what happens
Hey,
live.
my jeans are almost like water resistant too.
Anyway, getting back to this.
I can drink that.
It's so, like, beautiful episode. Beautiful everything. Beautiful story. Beautiful ending. A wonderful way to end Once Upon a Time, right?
Once and for all.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
agreed.
But that's not what they're doing.
But you know what? I'm intrigued.
Would this be a proper time to say, Lucy, you have some splaining to do?
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
Lucy,
That
Henry,
was amazing.
you've got some splaining
Yeah,
to do, Henry.
Henry, you grew up way too fast, my friend.
Yeah,
Way too fast.
Maybe made some poor decisions. But
Maybe he's cursed.
so these are only our initial reactions. We're going to be a bit all over the place, just like water was all over Jeremy's phone. But that's what you get with an awesome mic drop. And we want your feedback for our upcoming full discussion, and you can get that contact information in the show notes for episode 300 at oncepodcast.com/300. We primarily want to know what you thought of this finale, as well as where you think Once Upon a Time is going from here. We will discuss the major news item that's technically a spoiler, but everybody knows it. We'll discuss that in a little bit. But that aside, what did you guys think of this episode, Erin?
This episode was a lot, and I don't know, I can't remember if it was Bex Mader or Lana Parrilla who, when in the special they were asked for 3 words to describe, said all the feels.
Yeah.
That was pretty accurate. All the feels.
All the feels.
Yeah, totally. Jeremy, what do you think?
At least some of the feels. No, it was... No, you're right. I have some mixed feelings because you can never... After this long and such a convoluted story, you can't totally wrap it up in one way. And it was sort of like if you cut out 3 scenes and rescored the soundtrack, it could have been the series finale.
Yes.
And that was probably the intention, just in case. But I'm actually interested in what... I was afraid that I wouldn't be interested in what would happen next year. Partially based on the things that we're discussing later, but also just as the story went on, it is so wrapped up that I wasn't really sure where else things could go.
Yeah.
Now, what about that opening scene? Did you have an idea what was going on?
It's been 2 hours now. I don't remember the opening
Yes.
scene.
Lucy,
little
I suppose
girl
her name
running.
is.
Oh, yeah.
Running through Enchanted Forest in, I forget how they defined it, but they did not say a long time ago.
They said a time of great upheaval, I think.
Yeah.
And I assumed the future.
It's like LA space X from Lost. It almost felt like it was some kind of alternative reality, or I think the reason they were cryptic in that was because this is something that happens in the future, in the Enchanted Forest of the future. That's why they didn't tell us that. They're not going to say
Right.
many years from now in the Enchanted Forest or something like that. It's this thing of they're using the story technique of this is years later, and now something horrible has happened, and it's your kids, Marty. You got to come back and save your kids, sort of thing.
Multiple Back to the Future references in one night.
Yes.
So now a question in my head is, were those scenes before or after the final scene?
The final scene being when she goes to see Henry, her supposed father.
Yes.
That would be before, I believe, because otherwise she would not have been alone. I think she's alone because the events in what we see in the Enchanted Forest, and then in later when she goes to see Henry, I think that all happens chronologically, years from now, but chronologically.
And I'm going to reverse it and say I think the scene in Seattle was before the scene in Enchanted Forest.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But look what's happening. We're theorizing again. There are theories to be had.
Did Tiger Lily become a fairy again yet in present day?
Good point.
Probably because we saw the other fairy. Everything's blending together right now.
It is.
That's what happens after 6 years of this. We saw Tinkerbell become a fairy again when she did something that was selfless, brave, and true. I'm sorry, she basically did. She, helped save the Blue Fairy, helped stop the shadow. That was in season 3, and that's when Blue said, "Yes, you have your wings again. You're a fairy again." So it would seem reasonable that, that Tiger Lily is a fairy again.
Shouldn't have any wings.
Someone from the audience, in our live audience, is
Shouldn't
joining us.
have any wings.
Yeah, but we've seen fairies when they are human size not have wings, or their wings disappear when they want them to.
Tuck them away.
Yeah. The thing that, so leaving aside not leaving aside, focusing some more on some of the theories for where this could go from here. That they're jumping forward years from now, I think now gives us an opportunity to tell completely different stories.
Yep.
And, well, I just can't think until I get this off my mind. So I'm going to change the subject.
Do it.
The writers, I love the writers. This was a beautiful finale. They wrote this so well. They told the story so well. They did the ending so well. The Last Supper looked beautiful. That all was amazing collage. The hero gets to be the hero. Everyone is saved. The villain is defeated. And all of this awesome stuff happens. And the hero even sacrifices herself without actually having died, but she went through the act of sacrificing. So all of this awesomeness.
Multiple people did that.
Yeah. It was an amazing ending to the series. And I believe...
This book?
Yeah, I believe it was all written to be the end of the series.
Yeah, I think so.
Kitsis and Horowitz, masterful writers in writing it like this. ABC. I'm sorry, ABC. I hate you right now.
Oh.
ABC messed this up. Because ABC is the one or the big company that said, "Hey, we want another season from you guys." So while the writers got to tell their story and end it in the way I believe that they've anticipated ending it from the beginning of Once Upon a Time, with some adjustment here and there, of course, now ABC is the one who says, "Hey, let's, record these 3 scenes and fit them in somehow." Because when you look at it, 2-hour-long finale, those scenes that set us up for season 7 were very small, probably a whole total of 4 minutes, no more than 4 minutes or 5 minutes, somewhere around there. That could have easily been accounted for with other stuff that was cut out from across the episode. So they fit that in order to lead into a season 7. I really think that if they didn't get renewal from ABC, they could have cut those 5 minutes out, and this would have been a series finale, and it would have been beautiful. It would have been perfect. But no.
I agree. I don't know. But then the question is, did they have to add things in because of a season 7? They seem to want a season 7, so maybe they made it like a series finale because they were afraid of cancellation.
Might have been, but they threw so much into this to give us a finale to these characters we've loved, to really, basically, to the show we've loved, everything we know about the show that we've loved. And we'll talk more about some of the other stuff in a little bit. And now they're giving us something completely different that they didn't have to give us.
No, but aren't you glad it's not just a sudden twist because someone had a vial of magic and everything resets back to the way it was, and now we're just stuck with the poor same characters going through the same loops?
That's true.
I'm very excited about that.
I'm very excited too. And you know what else I'm excited about?
Our heroes?
That's right, our heroes who make this episode and all of our episodes of One's Podcast possible.
I finally got it.
So for this episode, I'd like to thank Lisa Slack, Lisa R., and our 29 heroes on Patreon. We couldn't do this podcast without you. Your dollars, your cents, your whatever really helps support the podcast. Seriously, we couldn't do this without you. We cover expenses like purchasing the episodes to be able to watch them, to be able to get the sound clips, the screenshots, hosting the website, continuing to run the website, especially through summer when we won't be podcasting much. We really appreciate your help. Our heroes get access to fun things like the bloopers or like the musical from our last episode. They got access to that. So heroes, if you haven't logged in, go to oncepodcast.com/hero, click on the Patreon button, log in, and you can download your copy of our little musical parody. It's a lot of fun over there. And we are extremely grateful and excited to have each and every one of our heroes. So if you would like to be a hero and get access to cool stuff too, and know that you're supporting this podcast and giving back a little bit of value if you feel like we bring some value to your life, then please go to oncepodcast.com/hero. And thank you for your support. There was so much from this that reminded me, and intentionally designed to be season 1 kind of stuff, to bring back all the season 1 kind of feels and and so much reversed too, like Snow and Charming's kiss reversed.
Yeah, which is interesting because that actually happened in the pilot, only it didn't work. When he was stabbed and bleeding on the floor and the curse was about to hit.
Yeah.
There were a few true love's kisses that did miraculous things in this episode that I was kind of not sure why they worked.
Well, if you
And a
fall
few
off
that
a
should have
1,000 foot,
And didn't.
and if you fall, we have an audio delay.
You have an audio delay. Just kidding.
Aaron, would you just say what you said again?
And a few that should have worked but didn't. Like I thought when Emma did, so many things happened in this episode.
I know.
There was a true love's kiss that I thought was going to break the curse and didn't. Maybe Emma, I thought it was Emma and Henry, and then it worked later in a different way.
Yeah, it was the reverse with Emma. Like in season 1, Emma kissed Henry on the forehead and said, "I love you," as she kissed him on the forehead. And then he wakes up and says, "I love you too." Here it happened the opposite way around. Henry kissed her on the forehead, said, "I love you." She wakes up and says, "I love you too."
When did Henry's arm get better?
True
when
love.
the curse got broken.
So being pushed down the stairs and breaking a bone is part of a curse?
Yes.
Interesting.
True love can. Hey, if true love's kiss can also fix falling from a 1,000-foot beanstalk, why can't it fix a broken arm?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I took
How did
issue with that too.
How did Hook survive?
Well, yeah, Hook is.
There was
the
nobody
bigger
to kiss
question.
him there, so he just had to be okay.
I thought the dragon would swoop down and he'd catch a ride, and it ends up the dragon is some friend, which we never found out.
What was
who
with the dragon?
Yeah.
You know, this was a beautiful episode. Maybe we shouldn't do the full discussion. let's not look at it too much. No, I thought, a lot of the recaps focused on dragony things. I thought that was going to be a bigger part of the story.
Well, I think that was what Henry was using as a point to Emma, and you slayed the dragon. I
Oh.
think he came back to that a few times when he was trying to convince her. Their dynamic was almost identical to in the pilot, and I really enjoyed that both of them were able to kind of get back into their characters from 6 years ago as well
Yeah.
as they did.
Yeah, it was fun. Did you guys like that take on the final battle?
No.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the episode, but
Yeah.
I was sadly a little bit right. There's build up, and I'm not sure that as they begin building something in a season that they totally know what that's going to look like by the time they get there. And then they kind of have to reinterpret based on what their resources really are. But that being said, it was not the letdown I was afraid it would be.
Yeah. And it was neat to see Emma and Gideon have a face-off again, like in that vision. But Emma did not die, although she did sacrifice herself. Maybe she did die, and True Love's kiss brought her back to life.
Yeah. I guess I would say it was great, except it would have been better without saying final battle 5 times an episode before that and using superlatives like worse than you can possibly imagine.
Watching this episode, something that slightly tainted it for me were my expectations, knowing that a season 7 is coming.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, season 7 is coming, if you didn't catch that news.
Did you have that expectation?
But I kept thinking, okay, we're going to see some beautiful ending, some death, maybe someone moving on, or some victory, or something beautiful, and it's all going to be undermined in order to lay the groundwork for season 7. So I kept that in the back of my mind, and in a way, I think it prevented me from getting as emotionally involved in the episode, because I felt like this is just going to be undermined yet again. Now, props to the writers. They did not undermine it.
Right?
Yet.
Yeah. Everything here finished nicely, and we're getting to season 7.
And
so-
Rumple finally did the right thing.
Yeah.
Even that was kind of up for interpretation. Yes, he did the right thing, but the thing that was said was when good and evil both make the right choice, something else happens. Hang on.
Something good happens.
Something good happens. Just the culmination of everything for the whole 6 years, but whatever.
When good and evil both did the right thing, faith was restored and the final battle was won. And another evil also did the right thing kind of at the exact same time in the other realm, when Evil Queen stepped up and sacrificed herself to hold off the curse, or to hold off the not curse. I don't. What
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
that? I was
Not-
calling it like the never-ending story, the nothing.
You weren't the only one. That's hilarious.
Yeah, seeing Rhonda, that's our name for the evil queen, the alternate reality evil queen. Seeing her again was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And a fun little proposal from Robin Hood.
Only now they're not in the Wish Realm. Now they're in the Enchanted Forest.
Yes. Which is
Which
an
is-
appropriate place for them.
Yeah. And I guess maybe we don't have to worry about there being weird plot lines from that, because
Yeah. I think that they nicely dealt with that because we talked about how can they send Evil Queen there to have a fresh start where she's being sent where everyone, literally everyone in that realm hates her and is afraid of her. How is that a fresh start? And it's nice
Yes.
that they so totally logically acknowledge that and they escaped from that.
Well, that's the second time that they've had somebody in a recent episode come back and sort of summarize all the things that we were griping about in earlier season episodes. Like when Zelina was like, by the way, why did you blame me for everything? I lost the man I love too.
Yeah. There's a lot more to dig into this episode, and we'll certainly dig in as much as we can in our upcoming full discussion. We want to hit the main highlights in our upcoming full discussion because it's a 2-hour finale. We'll have more than only Jeremy, me, and Heather. We'll have as many of our podcasting co-hosts as we can get, and your feedback too. So please go to the show notes at oncepodcast.com/300. By the way, thanks for joining us for 300 episodes if you've been listening for this
300.
long. And we'd love your feedback. So go to oncepodcast.com/300 for our contact information to send us your feedback, what you liked from this, where you think season 7 could go from here. And it's okay for you to acknowledge the recent news. Now, in the remaining minutes of our initial reactions here, I want to talk about this news because everybody knows it, it seems. Technically, we consider it a spoiler because our spoiler policy is anything known about anything that affects future episodes. So that includes casting, that includes who's coming to the show, who's leaving the show. That stuff means the plot has to change in some way. So if you say, oh, so-and-so is leaving the show, then we know, okay, that means they're either going to be killed, get their happy ever after, or be sent to Forgotten Character Island in some vague, ominous way. So that influences plot. So that said, that's why we consider basically anything about future episodes to be spoilers. We try and have a very conservative spoiler policy. That said, this is news that I feel nobody could avoid.
Practically nobody.
So if you don't know what news we're talking about, stop listening now. It's okay. You can follow us on Twitter at OncePodcast and go to the show notes at oncepodcast.com/300 to send us your feedback when you discover this news. But here's the news. Several of our core characters are leaving the show.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Morrison, Emma, Jared S. Gilmore, who plays as Henry, Jennifer Goodwin, Snow White, Josh Dallas, Prince Charming, Emily DeRavin,
Mm-hmm.
Belle, Rebecca Mader, Zelina. All we have left that we know of, unless something changes with them, but with the announcement about season 7, these characters were named. Colin O'Donoghue, who plays Hook, Lana Parrilla, who plays Regina, and surprisingly, Robert Carlyle, who plays Rumple.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 characters seem to be the front runners for the next season. Now, will they actually be used much in the next season? We don't know.
Yeah, I guess we don't. And the confusing part is, what does that do? How does that work with their various significant others?
Right.
That is
Particularly, how do you have Hook still in the show without Emma? It's confusing. The time jump gives a lot of room for creativity and maybe mystery and flashbacks and who knows what. But yeah.
That is exactly what I meant when I said yet. They haven't ruined it for us yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was definitely
think-
thinking about Once Wonderland when they ended up bringing Will onto Once Proper,
Yep.
breaking up that happy ending that we witnessed
Maybe.
and never concluding it.
We were discussing earlier, it's sort of like, I don't know if they ever confirmed what did or did not happen with Will. They kind of dropped it.
Yeah.
Maybe because people were already reacting negatively because it was like, why even bring him here and ruin a good story that you already told? So I was sort of afraid, knowing the casting news going into this, I was afraid that it was going to end in a way that separated Hook and Emma and maybe others and just left it that way. Like the happy beginning began a thing that lasted all of a day, and then they were done. I felt like they would find a way not to do that, and they did. That's not at all what we got as a hint. In fact, from what they gave us hinting at next season, it's hard to figure out how even the people who are going on will be doing that.
It's very much like what Jacqueline had been talking about recently in our own Once podcast chat. She mentioned that it's like Once Upon a Time, the Next Generation. Actually, that was Matthew Paul that suggested that. Let me just say that again. It's very much like what Matthew Paul called it, Once Upon a Time, the Next Generation. And literally, that's what it is.
Right. More than I thought. I thought that was a weird name. But
the way
this isn't its real name.
Yeah, the way they set it up makes it feel like it's season 1 all over again in the storyline, because it's, a little girl comes to her father this time and says, "You're my daddy," and all of this stuff. But knowing the casting difference, knowing that the next season then will take place presumably years in the future, it does not feel like Once Upon a Time. And the way I'm wanting to look at this is Once Upon a Time ended today. Now we have the spin-off. Like we had Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, where a couple of the not core characters, but some characters from Once Upon a Time proper helped in the crossover with Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. That's what I feel like season 7 will be, is some of those core characters we know are really there for the sake of helping us cross over into this spin-off, which just so happens to be using the same name as the original show.
You can definitely look at it that way.
But knowing that it will be a mostly all-new cast and many of our regulars gone, that actually, I think, gives more freedom for us to enjoy completely different stories.
I agree.
So you know what it means?
What does it mean?
No more flashbacks of the evil queen trying to kill Snow and Charming.
Yes, I think the musical episode was the last acceptable iteration of that.
Well, even that I didn't find completely acceptable, but I love the musical episode.
Except it was taking what they had done and just making it a musical. So it was okay. There was a reason. Yeah, I am looking forward to this. I think I think The Gap is a perfect way to have a story that has some mystery, and hopefully it actually is a bit ongoing as we try to figure out what came in the middle. Or maybe they'll summarize that quickly. But we have 2 different time periods at least that we saw, and we've already not been sure which order what do we call them? Flash forward?
It wasn't a flash, so it was more just like a sneak peek.
Flash as much as the flashbacks are flashes.
Oh, that's true. Matthew Paul said, so think of season 6 as Return of the Jedi and season 7 as The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
The storybook awakens.
Oh, her book got an upgrade. That thing is so much easier to carry around.
Yeah. And we didn't see the golden bird quite as much.
Quite as much, yeah.
Yeah, or at all, maybe. By the way, I was happy that one of my predictions since I don't know how many years did come true for how they ended the show.
What's that?
Well, the show as we know it, that is. That it would end with the storybook saying, and they lived happily ever after.
It was subtle, but it was there.
Yes.
Even the
Where's
book?
my microphone? I'm going to drop it again.
No,
this time not
please.
on your phone. Mic drop.
And nothing got broken or splashed. Yeah. Even the book, add the book to the list of things that died and came back.
That's true. Yeah, it did.
Actually, kind of along with all the realms.
Yeah.
They all died and came back.
Yeah.
I guess we'll say they were not fully erased. The operation was canceled.
They were returned.
Something
because
I didn't
Rumpel
notice.
canceled his mother.
Something I didn't notice in the kind of final montage of the characters in Storybrooke was whether Henry was really in that. And I didn't think to notice it until we went to the future and we the girl said, "Are you Henry Mills?"
Yeah.
Knowing various casting news in this case because it was so unavoidable, I was already pretty sure, and I'm already not sure if we saw the same people at the beginning as at the end, but I already had thought, I'm pretty sure she might be Henry's daughter.
But was Henry, like Jared Gilmore, was he in like the final supper montage? Was he present in that after the curse was broken and everybody went to their happily ever after? I don't recall seeing him after that, but that could just be me trying to read into it because I can't remember. And then we learned that he was in the future.
We saw him going toward the school bus, and I thought I saw the girl that he kind of like, Violet. I thought I saw her
Yeah.
smiling at him. So Violet is probably this little girl's mother.
And Adam and Eddie did say
In a
we
few
would
years,
see
I hope.
Violet again in the special.
Ah, yeah. So there's a lot more to dig into this episode to theorize about with season 7 going forward, but primarily to celebrate a great show that came to an end, and now the spinoff starts. Seriously, look at it that way, and I think you'll appreciate things much better. I mean, maybe we'll even start a new podcast in iTunes for it. No, we won't.
I'm
Stay
looking at
subscribed
it
to
as
this one.
book 2.
Now, for our podcast, the format will change. I'll tell you more details about what the format will change. But the reason why our format needs to change for our podcast is because our lives are in significantly different places now, 6 years later since we started the podcast. So things need to change in our format. Instead of doing 2 episodes per week, we'll probably be doing 1 episode per week. Our schedule will change a little bit. Our format change a little bit. We know you may not like it, but it's the kinds of changes we need to make in order to continue podcasting. So it's these changes or we stop podcasting. That's basically the way it has to be. And I'm committed to see the show all the way through to the end, however many seasons that means. But that does mean some adjustments need to be made along the way. So we'll give you more details about what those adjustments will look like in our upcoming full discussion. But we want you to be part of that by sending us your feedback, what you thought of this finale, and what you think going forward with this new spinoff, otherwise known as Season 7. You can contact us by emailing feedback@oncepodcast.com or calling 903-231-2221 or send a voice message through the website at oncepodcast.com. And all of that information is on the website at oncepodcast.com. In the meantime, please connect with us on Twitter at oncepodcast, and I'm Daniel J. Lewis on Twitter at the Daniel J. Lewis.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin on Twitter at Phlegon. That's Phlegon.
I'm Erin on Twitter at Erin J. Cruz.
Please share this episode with your friends. And if you get those people who say, I just started watching the show and I can't figure out what things are doing and happening, tell them about oncepodcast.com and get them to subscribe, and we'll love you for it. And until next time, remember not to mess up the closing.
I voted on the closing.
Once Podcast is a proud member of Noodle.mx Network. Find more of our award-winning and award-nominated podcasts to make you think, laugh, and succeed at Noodle.mx. Big thanks to our heroes for supporting this episode of the podcast. If you'd like to be a hero too, especially during this season finale. If you'd like to be a hero too, especially to carry us through the summer hiatus, then please go to oncepodcast.com/hero. And thank you for your support. Let me do that ending again. And John just cut out after Erin mentioned her Twitter. And until next time, remember, there's no reason to pretend. We both know I'm not your mother. But happy Mother's Day, and thanks for listening. And, John, I need to redo the intro. You're listening to Once, episode 300, The Final Battle, Initial Reactions. Let me do it one more time, better timed. You're listening to Once, episode 300, The Final Battle, Initial Reactions. Okay.
I feel like there should have been more fighting in our Final Battle podcast.
Well, we almost had a fight break out up here.
It's true.
We almost lost
Final
hope.
Battle and my phone won.
Our friendship was tested today more than anything else. And do you note the subtle, kind gesture of touch, which we almost never do, but that's to try and alleviate the possible anger that might come at me.
Friendships saved by iPhone 7.
Be a commercial.
Or $100 if it had been a success.
Yeah, I am very sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. I have a personal story now. Like, it can take half a cup of water. It's great.
Yeah, you know those commercials where the little kid spills the thing and the water is like creeping toward the phone on the cutting board, and the mother wipes it up with some, I don't remember the brand of the paper towel.
Bounty.
So, yeah, I figured it'd be Bounty. But that kind of thing. Well, imagine an alternate reality where she didn't have Bounty. That's basically what happened here.
Oh my goodness.
It's a good thing that was an iPhone 7.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. It was just so...
I'm
It
mo-
was so perfect. It was just like, I am going to spill nowhere but on that giant phone. And then all of it, just all on the phone. And it's fine.
I'm actually more concerned about your case than your phone.
It's leather.
Yeah,
It
that's why I'm
ages well.
concerned with it, about it.
It's fine too. I wanted it to be darker when I got it, and it's been getting slowly darker as it goes.
Okay, so Aaron, get that audio uploaded ASAP
What'd you call her?
Okay.
because John needs to get editing.
It's 11:30.
Yeah, we need
Oh
to
my
pack up.
goodness.
11:30.
Everyone, thank you for joining us live audience. Thank you for joining us for the party.
Live.
Bye.
Bye, Aaron.
Good night.
And everyone watching, too, we'll be back Wednesday with our full discussion.
they're still
Same
there.
time, same place, oncepodcast.com/live. And we hope you'll be part of the episode watching, as well as sending us your feedback. Thank you for your patience as we started extremely late this time due to tech issues that
And a
have been
late
tested.
episode.
Yeah, late episode. All right, everyone watching live, thank you. Have a good night.